in Nigeria. Is it, if you rely on energy, I think in one of the stations I was privileged to run this business is no longer for. What is he spends on diesel alone on weekly basis, on weekly basis, can pay his staff, all of them. So imagine that kind of, what kind of business are you running? Are you running a charity home? Apart from the issue of technology, energy, that government agents, you see somebody, a woman who is selling mango, fruits, they will come, you see another person standing, a man, once it is 10, Madam will take go, that's Madam, bring money. What for? Some of them are agents of government. Some of them are friends of government, touts, used in the election. So they can look elsewhere. Security operatives will look elsewhere when you are undermining somebody's interest. So I wonder, when people do business, it's like, in Nigeria today, it's like, well, we have come out, we have started, there's nothing we can do.
Signature TV. It is a beautiful Wednesday, the 15th day in the month of January. Happy Wednesday to you. Some people say it is the Woman Crush Wednesday. So who are you crushing on today? Make sure you crush on your mother, your sisters, your aunties, your nieces, and every woman around you. All right, you know how we'll do it this every morning. We'll bring you the newspaper headlines, review, interviews, and every other thing we have lined up for you this morning. We'll be bringing you the newspaper headlines after this short break. Let's begin with the Daily Times newspaper this morning. Just below the marks, we have 2025 budget. Reps, federal government disagree over 286 million naira foreign mission expenses. Also, we have Debts Fund suspends scholarship for academic staff. Tinubu appoints Folashade Adakayoja as first female deputy DG and DSS. Ekpa's arrest has reduced chaos in Southeast. That's coming from CDS. Wike signs 5,481 C of ore in 1 year. Nigeria will overcome insecurity. President Tinubu is saying this. Okay, moving ahead to the Daily Trust newspaper. Boko Haram burns church houses in Borno. That's a very sad story there. We can't fight banditry with 20 armored personnel carriers, says minister. Cash crunch. CBN fines 9 banks 1.35 billion naira. War on Gaza. Israel to OK ceasefire deal. Also, we have Sokoto governor. Bafarawa dumps PDP. Neglecting ex-soldiers dangerous for fight against insecurity. That's from Irabo. And that's all from the Daily Trust. Let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. CBN fines 9 banks for failing to dispense cash at ATM. Our transaction with General Hydrocarbons. Okay, that's a commentary. You can read more on that. And the screaming headline also saying underfunding, huge debts, root causes of power sector failure, with the rider as supply falls below 4,000 megawatts, creates more hurdles for households, businesses. NERC orders Fidelity Bank to divest. Power sector outlook gloomy, says CPPE, and Power Consumer Assistance Fund is key. That's coming from Power Up Nigeria. We also have AI, decentralized electricity supply, says Okonjo Iweala. GAC meets endorses new Lagos Speaker Miranda. Marketers shift to Dangote refinery as petrol depot price hits 950 naira per liter. And moving ahead to the Punch, Southwest governors team up against ISWAP element and bandits. Governors working on intelligence reports as Southwest monarch demand proactive step. Yuletide, CBN fines 9 banks 1.35 billion naira for ATM cash scarcity. And Nigeria earned 50 trillion naira from crude oil in 2024. That's from report. Court hears suit challenging Lagos Calabar Highway contract. Oni's ex-queen, others regain freedom after 21-day remand. All right, that's all from the Punch. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Just above the marks, we have, we demanded transparency from General Hydrocarbons, says FBN. So CBN fines 9 banks. Of course, that's been trending. Reps panel fought 286 million naira allocation to 109 foreign missions. Investors lose 1.1 trillion naira sell-off in 41 stocks. Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Better equipment, compensation, prosecution of terrorists, top agenda. 50 billion naira budget can't end insecurity, Matawale tells lawmakers. Police threaten litigation, demand apology from Amnesty International. Obedience movement, factions exist won't affect LP, says party chief. ASU opposes diversion of tax funds resources as reps push tax reforms. And seaports rehabilitation orders missing from 38.3 billion naira maritime allocation. And that's all from that particular newspaper. We still have more from The Nation. Disputes with General Hydrocarbons. We didn't abuse court process, says FBN. I have no hand in speaker's remover, says Sanwo-Olu. He's saying he has no hand in speaker's remover. National Assembly to block funding for NIMASA, MPA, FIRS, and others. My government working hard to end insecurity, says Tinubu. We will invest in technology to fight terror, says President. Matawale 50 billion naira budget for defense ministry is inadequate. Food security, government to recapitalize BOA, all right? 21-year jail for Randy, Arabic teacher. And finally, River families kick over Alaafin's choice. And on the Nigerian Tribune, NAS demands detailed report on Ministry of Livestock Development with the rider. Senators, reps frown on 11.8 billion naira budget for 2025. Minister told not to restrict project to cattle alone. And white paper on ministry still not out. Also, we have CBN sanctions 9 banks for failing to dispense cash via ATMs. NEC transfers fuel electricity regulatory oversight to 4 states, and PDP, NWC to convene amidst controversy over National Secretary position. JAMB registrar debunks report on spending 850 million naira on fumigation, says amount spent on fumigation in 2024 less than 1 million naira. Funke Egbemodo's column debut with, okay, that's one commentary you would want to, go and read more on that. I think that's the most we can take for the newspapers this morning. Let's bring in our in-house reviewer, Chris, the Oracle. Chris Maduka, good morning.
Good morning, Belinda.
The way your face is
you
serious.
You are very high spirit this morning, and I hope I'm safe.
You're safe, but your face this morning, I don't understand.
There are so many serious issues that Nigeria,
really?
Being in Nigeria, waking up every morning is a serious business. So I always find myself serious, not just because I want to be, because the situation forces you to be serious.
So also, would you tell us, start from the one particular newspaper news headline, that...
Well,
that
let's start from the beginning, Daily Times. Incidentally, Daily Times is one of the oldest newspapers in Nigeria. And the first thing is trying their TED Fund suspend scholarship for academic staff. And then it now brings to my mind why ASU is very much interested in TED Fund suspension by the federal government, or alleged threat of suspending TED Fund. The academic staff of the universities have benefited from TED Fund, and they've kept quiet. In Nigeria, when the things are benefiting you, you keep mute and enjoying it. But when anybody goes that way, that's when you begin to bare your teeth. And that's interesting. But I know, like I said earlier, the federal government know why they think TED Fund has not fulfilled its objective for the academic system or academic sector in Nigeria, especially the university academic sector. Well, that's about it. So now we can see one of the reasons why the ASU is fighting about TED Fund suspension, because they're getting scholarships from it.
And there was actually a diversion.
Yeah, reps disagree over 286 million foreign mission expenses. And the disagreement they're having with federal government, I don't know, is it that it's too small or it's too big? Because we couldn't get into the details immediately. But then, whatever is making them, if we're going to spend 286 million on foreign mission expenses, that's quite huge money. And foreign mission expenses, there's a proverb that says that the person whose house is on fire does not chase rats. Why not? But let's start looking inwards more. All these foreign mission expenses are foreign missions that's going to go up so much money. We ask, if we use this kind of billions of naira to cover our teeth, how much will we get when we smile or laugh? We are spending unnecessary expenses should cut down, and the cost of governance in Nigeria we've been preaching should be cut down. So if that's where the disagreement is, we support the side that is trying to cut down the expenses. And you come down to where it says, first female deputy DG for DSS. That's good for the women when we're talking about the world going towards gender streamlining, gender equity, equality, and social inclusion, or whatever name they call it. These started as a lot of things that the women were fighting for equality, or to be recognized, or to be given confidence in themselves as human beings. And they started like sisterhood, feminism, they fight, so many things. They got to the point of gender where people start seeing that gender says for everybody, social inclusion, everybody, everybody, because the whole world is genderized. And somebody said in academic world, they say the whole world is sexed. What they mean by that is that everything you talk about, pick this cup, is either male or female. But
Really?
why recently we have confusion with the LGBTQ? Let's not talk about that. That's another
I want
case
you to
on-
react to
No,
Ekpa's
the first female DG has been appointed for DSS. If we have more female gender getting into higher echelon of authority and control in Nigerian situation, maybe that will bring us more success and
in terms of security.
yeah.
All right. I want your reaction on this Ekpa's arrest. You know, CDS is coming to say that Ekpa's arrest has
That's a highly security issue. If the
Supreme
CDS,
Court.
if CDS, that's the chief of this, what do you call them, the highest security man in the army, is saying that that arrest of has reduced. It is left for the people in Southeast to confirm that. It's left for the people in Southeast to confirm that, because as far as I'm concerned, it looks like it reduced, but we have more an increase that's going somewhere. With Anambra is a typical example. What is good? The level of insecurity in Anambra State right now is breakneck. It's even worse before whatever you call it or whatever. But I just want to draw the attention of the CDS to Anambra State, because Anambra State is part of Southeast. And if the other 4 states of Southeast might have, the Imo still have issues. Anambra have issues. Maybe ENUGU, Ebonyi, might have a that reduction. But the core Southeast states of Imo and Anambra are still boiling.
But one would wonder really, is it actually because of his arrest? Or maybe because Southeast governors are beginning to do something about
The issue of
insecurity?
insecurity in Nigeria is a complex one. Before even while EPA was there was insecurity. If you arrested him, there was insecurity. And if there's going to be reduction, we are still going to see it in the whole of Southeast. It's a highly complex situation and security issue that we should always be careful when you are talking about it. We believe that the security apparatus of Nigeria, from whatever point they're looking at it, the view is clearer for them. But we on the ground, living in Southeast, we are living in very difficult situation. We have what they called, I call it, palpitation. You wake up in the morning, you think about where do I go? Am I sure? A lot of men in Southeast wake up in the morning, they ride their wheel and call their children and said, well, if you don't see me back in the evening, that's it.
Really?
That's the situation. And for you women, I don't know, because some viral audio going around that said the people who are actually perpetuating this are targeting the men. And they're saying that once the men are down, the women will be a walkover. And you don't put some of those things, you don't pretend you didn't hear them, because certain things are working towards. Then let's leave that, go to cash crunch.
Right.
CBN fines 9 banks 1.35 billion naira. It means that when the center cannot hold, may anarchy loses upon the world. That's Chino Achebe's Things Fall Apart. That's the opening lines of Things Fall Apart. Now, when you see the CBN, it should be in control of commercial banks or all the banks in Nigeria's banking system. And when the banks CBN cannot control them unless it fines them this amount, it means that these 9 banks has found alternative that CBN has lost the control. Okay. And they are looking for this, how to survive from other source. And then keeping back the cash, selling it to POS. I have said before, the way Nigerians rush to this cashless thing, full blown, a lot of people did not see it. All these commercial banks are milking Nigerians dry. They're rushing and declaring billions and trillions of profit. Why Nigerians are languishing in poverty? You buy chewing gum, you transfer, the banks take money from you. The person that you pay your money to who will service you, and the bank takes money from you. They take their money, they take the one for telecom, internet service. They take, before the end of the month, after taking all this, at the end of the month, you start getting some huge alerts, debit alerts from the same bank saying maintenance, whatever. So you do the one that you. That's why the people find alternative of going for cash, forgetting their transfer, and they went back to that to start making money out of it, selling money to POS. The CBN has not sanctioned the banks enough because they have brought Nigerian economic system to nothing. This money is like, you are using, what is the 1.5? How much did they make while selling the cash they're selling? You know how much POS people are in one street, in 5 minutes walk in every street, you find more than 20 of them, and they buy cash. And they come out for transaction, they say we are buying cash. Who is selling to them? This bank. Instead of releasing monies in ATM for people to go, the ATMs are dry for the last 3 months.
Right.
Now, I'm saying that we in Nigeria, I don't know who did this to us. We are not getting anywhere like this. And the funniest thing that we create some unusual situation and we are running around the circle. And the Nigerians, I don't know who did this to us. We can only we don't even have energy to complain anymore. We just accept our fate the way we are, and people are dropping dead and dying. Check the number of deaths, the stress and things we put upon ourselves, and we think we this a country.
With that 1.35 billion, do you think that's enough, probe for the
I have said it's not enough. Close down the banks.
Right.
Seize their certificates, because they cannot run a different control system and regulatory body more than CBN. And that's how we start speaking Oyibo and treating with kid gloves, and the thing will get out of hand. Who know how much they've kept out of circulation that they're selling? When they come to CBN and collect funds, they won't release it into the system. They'll start selling to POS, and they're smiling to their personal banks, making money out of our squad, and the CBN is handling with kid gloves. That's saying that sanction is not enough. We cannot fight banditry. Yesterday it was the Minister of Power that said we cannot guarantee that. Now today, Minister of Security or whatever I call it said we cannot fight banditry with 20 armored carrier. So when people are going, you need to go to Nigerian Immigration Service every morning and see the number of people who are looking for passport to go out. Go to the embassy of all the countries working in Nigeria. When the security cannot be guaranteed, light cannot be guaranteed, health cannot be guaranteed, nothing can be guaranteed in a country called Nigeria, and we have government that have an establishment control that is moving in affluence and security. And they leave the people, what do you call it, on their own, OYO, or you on your own. That's it. Why won't people go? We have that the student union governments now get palliatives. Probably they will start. The federal government has gone ahead to destroy the student union government. There's you find student union leaders moving with SUVs. They buy them over. If the university is not buying them, politicians are buying them to control SU. That's why we don't have active student union unionism in Nigeria again. And things go. Now they give them rice. They will probably start being rice distributors. Student union government, when you find any rice depot, ask who owns it. It might be student union leaders that will begin now to sell rice. Nobody think about how the people that actually will cook rice for the student to eat when we were there in the university, you walk in with 5 kobo voucher, you go and eat and go. When your voucher is not there, you go. People are running the canteens and the eateries of the campuses. If you want to give palliative, give it to the university. Let them give to the people who cook for them. Give rice, raw rice to student union leaders
What would wonder really is it just right?
No, getting palliative. You have given palliative to everybody, and what people left is the student union leaders. Nigerian government are culpable to whatever is happening to destroy the whole fabric of Nigerian system. You give power, they are now moving. If you see how you student union leaders live in Nigeria, those are the ones who will come tomorrow and say, I no agree. You expect them to, when government is doing this nonsense, they will say, they come out to lead students and say, have you ever had anything useful in the last 20 years of any student, coming to Nigeria to declare? They only make one statement, hey, and then at the end, they call them and settle them. And they will go, and that's all. Student union have been destroyed, trade union have been destroyed. So what puts the check and balance in the Nigerian system? And we think we are going anywhere. It favors you as a leader of Nigeria. At that time, you are there to destroy these systems. But remember, the goat that's lying on the ground is lying on his skin. This is a country of Nigeria. Some of you that have done this, generations yet on board, will continue to call your name with curses. Why are you destroying this nation? Why? With little actions, just for you to have a way. You don't want anybody to come and tell you, you become a Zonyang. Don't tell me, that if anybody think any force, you destroy them. So you move, and they think you are making progress. That's not progress. Israel calls for, ceasefire. That's hope for Gaza, and probably that will bring some sanity to what is going to war security. Underfunding,
yes.
The huge root cause for power sector failure. What else the power sector want from Nigeria? Probably when they start, they go to the bank, open a blood bank. Every Nigerian should donate maybe 3 pints of blood so that we give it to the power sector to use to power their sector. Because this sector has done Nigeria. Call people like Obasanjo, you tell you what did they do to get this sector working, and it's not working. They are still calling underfunding. The other day we are calling one figure here that are saying power grid still fails despite these loans and big they keep taking every day. Where are they putting this money that we are giving them over the years? Where is the power sector putting it? In the ocean, in the lagoon? God will visit them. And I think God has visited them because people are looking for alternative. Very soon, there will be no funding for the power sector because not when people have found the alternative energy, you give power, all this money to power sector. I tell you, I'm not a prophet of doom. But the way I see power sector in Nigeria, very soon, they will use whatever power they generate to power their toilets because nobody will need them. When we need the power, they keep. It become an empty pit, endless pit. We keep putting fund. Every government, successive government in Nigeria, have put highest amount of budget for power sector. No result. Who is using those money?
I'm just wondering, it seems as if they are speaking with on the other side of their mouths. Yesterday they came out to say it was the problem of insecurity and vandalism, and today is their
problems are many, and that's when somebody has too many problems like NNPCL. The government should start thinking about what to do with such sector. They cannot hold us to ransom for life. That's what we are saying. People should look at. I know. If I say this, it will sound funny. If people find alternative way of bringing their own fuel, they'll make sure they want to suppress them. Because the people of Niger Delta have what they call their own refineries in the bushes. And they are refining their oil. You can't refine oil, you give Nigerians, but you go to the bush with army and navy and the battalion and fight and burn down, causing more environmental forces issues for Nigeria. Meanwhile, you can't even breathe with big mega refineries Nigeria has built as oil producing nation. You cannot refine 1 liter of oil. But they found out that nature abhors vacuum. If you don't give Nigerians fuel, and you give it to them at a very expensive price, they will find their own fuel. So you go tired. You keep burning and burning. One day, you wake up and find Nigeria that black suit has covered. They think it's only River State that black suit will cover because they are destroying the refineries. They call them illegal. Well, what is illegal with the refinery in Port Harcourt? What is illegal with the one with the one that is in Warri? That is not worked for 20 years. All of them are working on the illegality and they're fighting illegality. I'm not saying Nigeria would have found a way of exploiting these natural refiners that are bringing oil. Find a way of getting them closer. When you get them closer, it's easier to regulate them and even know what they are doing and how they are doing it. And start thinking about local technology to refine our oil. But instead, they are fighting them. And tomorrow they say technology. They go to Japan, they go to China to get technology. The one that is indigenous, you are suppressing it. It's not going to work.
One would wonder, really, what's the way forward?
Okonjo-Iweala said decentralized. When a woman like that talks and you pretend you did not hear it, then you must be deaf.
So you think that should be a good way forward?
They've started decentralizing, but they should decentralize more. We have 36 states. They've started the move of what they say regulatory commission. You don't have power, you are regulating. Why not have decentralized? Let the state control the power. And they still have the regulatory power of the state. So you know you are generating power in your state, you are regulating. Okay. You just don't know indigenize local state power regulation without, and still power comes from somewhere for you to regulate. So what are you can regulate what you do not control. So when you said decentralized to 37 states with Abuja, let everybody have their power generation. And let them have if you say ENUGU State Power Regulation Authority, EC, it controls its power it generates. If it's Anambra that is generating its own power, any state that cannot generate, let it liaise with another state, nearby state, let them cooperate and generate and use. Because this over, and the cost of security, that when they say insecurity hooks on all this centralized power generation, we all go back to power grid failure. And that is what I'm saying. Why is Nigeria at this point still running around circle, spending money, borrowing to drop in the ocean? It's marketers shift to Dangote.
I was hoping to that.
I didn't know. The Vanguard was just saying, marketers shift to Dangote. My question, why now? Marketers shift to Dangote. You know, there's an Igbo proverb that said that some people, you know what they call ogiri? What they call it in English? And that's the traditional seasoning they used to cook soup. Yes. Even in Yoruba land, they have different type. Now, ogiri in Igbo land is, has this smell. Yes. You see, you see when a woman is preparing ogiri, now you can put the saliva to fly. Yeah. But the marketers who have spitted on Dangote are now assembling in Dangote to lift fuel. Is it not the issue of a legendary ogiri that the people now spit on and are now turning back to buy it to cook their soup? They've eaten their own words. The marketers, good luck. One day, that's how nature will bring people back. They want to suppress Dangote in as much as are not working for Dangote. And if Dangote is allowed to breathe, then we can now put pressure on him if he's exploiting us. But there were so much people who did not want even Dangote to go forward. But they're now assembling there so that they'll make sure the price of fuel did not come down. Dangote told us one time that he's selling fuel at 885 naira. But with assembling there now, we are getting fuel at 950 naira, which has not trickled down to where I'm staying, because I'm still buying over 1,000, up to 1,100. Well, that's it. Missing 2026 World Cup will spell disaster for Nigeria. And I'm saying it will not spell no disaster. People are just looking for where they will make money. The glass house, Nigerian Football Federation, is a conduit pipe. They do not do anything that they're only trying to make sure Nigeria will spend money to go to sports. We need more money to stay in Nigeria. Sports in Nigeria has become what they call the escapist. where people use it to. But that's it. I think our time is going. Nigeria ended 50 trillion from crude oil in 2024, coming from Punch. And Southwest governors still against ISWAP element and bandits. These are two things I could get from the Punch, and was trying to note down so many other things. But that's a good one. Like I always said, let the blacksmith who doesn't know how to make a gong, metal gong, look at the tail of a kite. Let other block and regional governors who do not know how to make a metal gong look at the Southwest governors as they team up. Because together we can only fight a common problem.
Right.
But you come to Southeast, if I want to be very specific, they have crossed them with multiple parties that they cannot come together to look at their problem as a common person. If you put PDP, APUGA, APC, or all the parties that are in Southeast government, they don't meet as they used to meet to talk with one voice what they should talk as a regional issue of insecurity. Let's wonder we're having what we're having. Now the Southwest governors are teaming together to fight insecurity. Don't you think they will make better? The Bible said with one person you make one, but with two you do exploits.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's biblical and all the holy books recognize that united we stand, but divided we fall, then I think the Southeast governors should look boldly from the Southwest governors as they team together to work against insecurity, which is one of the greatest issues we have in Nigeria today. Who are they waiting for to do this? And that's about it. So if Nigeria has earned 50 trillion from crude oil in 2024, my question I'm asking as Chris Maduka is, where is the money? Where is it? It's not that they account for me or come and show me, but I've not felt it as a Nigerian. Does it mean we make the money and we use it to pour in the Atlantic Ocean? May God help Nigeria.
Going to help Nigeria. A lot of headlines to really review, but because of time, thank you very much, Chris Maduka, the Oracle. Thank you for your time this morning. All right, that's the most we can take for the review. We'll go for a short break and we'll come back to bring you more interviews. You don't go anywhere.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket. Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex anywhere and everywhere, near or far. Wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
On to Signature Morning on Signature TV. We understand that civil society plays a pivotal role, in shaping the development process, by advocating for social justice. They also hold government accountable and providing a voice for marginalized communities. So we'll be talking about the roles of civil society in development. And to discuss further on that is Dr. Andrew Agboro. He's a development expert. He's joining us virtually. Good morning and welcome, Doc.
Good morning, and thanks for having me here.
I can hear you. How are you doing this morning?
We thank God for the gift of life. I said, good morning and thanks for having me here. And I said, we thank God for the gift of life.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. To begin, can you, explain to us what civil society means in the context, of development, and of course, what role it plays in growth and process of a country like ours?
Right, thank you very much. The civil society simply means it's very broad. The language civil society is very broad. When we say civil society, we refer to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, and other non-state actors. Basically, the role of civil society cannot be overemphasized in terms of development and others. Civil society has been in the front burner in addressing a lot of issues that has to do with failure of, let me bring it down to the context of Nigeria, failure of the Nigerian state, promoting good governance and development. Also, they have a formidable role in terms of strengthening government policies, promoting accountability and social development, raising awareness on government legislations, promoting enforcement from those agencies or the security agencies that are mandated to enforce the law, promoting human rights, promoting peace and security, environmental justice, raising awareness, empowering the people, economic empowerment. In summary, they provide services, they raise awareness, and also raise capacity of citizens and stakeholders in ensuring peace and stability and other areas, or sectors. And when we are talking about civil society here, each civil society, they are playing individual roles in ensuring, or I'll just use the word in summary, they are involved in promoting the sustainable development goals, the 17 sustainable development goals, which has to do with zero hunger, peace and security, economic growth, environmental justice or environmental issues, and all of that. So those are the roles civil society plays, but also monitoring government policies and ensuring there is accountability and good governance for, the sustainable development of citizens. Those are some of the roles civil society plays in the society or in the state today.
Right. Oh, okay. But do you think this CSOs, they have contributed positively to Nigeria development so far?
Very well. Civil society has contributed immensely to the development of the country in terms of legislation, promoting legislations and laws, ensuring that the people, because most times when the House of Assembly or they pass a law, they don't do a lot of work in terms of awareness creation. Some people are not even aware, if not civil society and the roles they play. They are not putting much effort to see that we'll just hear one day that there is a law passed. A lot of people are not even aware. And then you also say that ignorance is not an excuse, and yet you don't promote awareness. And people are not aware there is a law that says this, don't do this and do that. And before you know what is going on, you start arresting people as if you are setting trap for people. I'm just bringing that as just, there are a lot of roles civil society plays. So in terms of awareness creation of the laws and legislations that we have in the country today, they play a vital role. They also provide services in terms of economic development to the people, in terms of empowerment. They promote peace and security and conflict mitigation. And with, when they, like in Nigeria today, there is a lot of things, is contributing to the problem we are having in terms of poverty and hunger. Today, our mothers, they can no longer farm because there is high rate of insecurity in the farm. People, when they go to the farm, they are being raped. They are being raped. So they can no longer farm. If times is to negotiate, is to promote awareness, is to ensure that there is accountability and justice. We given a state to be given money to, and there is no accountability. Somebody will award the contract that used to, ambiguous, and they come and say, oh, so civil society has been playing a very vital role in terms of legislations, in terms of promotion of policies, like in Delta State and Lagos State and other states, not to be precise. There are a lot of policies that has to do with the water, environmental sanitation and hygiene, and there is by the statistics or the information given to us by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, there is cholera outbreak in Lagos and other states, and the people are dying as a result of this disease outbreak called cholera. And most people are not even aware, for instance, that this disease is caused by consumption of foods that are contaminated with human feces. So people practice open defecation, and this open defecation we are talking about is common in some areas that are congested in terms of population, and they don't even provide. So it's a usual practice in some areas in the country where people go about practicing open defecation, and they don't know that this common fly will carry one human feces to another person's food, and the person will just use his hand to drive the fly away from the food and consume that food. And after consuming that food, the man start having cholera, which is a very deadly disease that results to all manner of disease and death. So when we are talking about development, civil society has even civil society has extracted funds from donors to Nigeria to build housing, health infrastructures and others. So when we say development has nothing only to do with infrastructure. It cuts across all the sectors: the economic sector, infrastructure, health, education, that's water, sanitation and hygiene, environment, peace and security, and all of that. So that is those are some of the roles civil society has played, and they have contributed immensely to development of Nigerian society today. In fact, in terms of employment, today we say that government says there is no funds, you cannot employ, we cannot employ, or this is that. Even civil society play serious roles in an employment process. As an organization, if you establish yourself and you register, you employ one or two persons from the street, you have touched a generation. So those are part of the roles civil society have played in terms of providing solutions to challenges, to some of the challenges Nigerians are facing today.
But in terms of being at the forefront, of advocating for government accountability and transparency, how have there been, how effective have there been the Nigerian CSOs? How effective have it been? Has it been in both accounting or holding government and private sector too accountable over the years?
Over the years, when you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. You should have that. Okay. If you're fighting corruption today, corruption fights you back. But civil society, they've been trying their best to see that there is open governance process. In fact, there's what we call the OP, we call it open OGP, open governance partnership, where there is a steering committee between the government, whether state or federal, and then the non-state actors. And what they do, they look at some area of budgeting, environment, social security, and all of that to ensure that when the state has funds, how these funds are spent, and also monitor the processes of budgeting and the budget cycle. And when we talk about the budget cycle, we are looking at the implementation, of the budget itself. So if you say, for instance, you want to do ABCD project, let's say mass housing project, let's say so and so project in a particular community, you don't just put it on paper and then you go, and later will go there, nothing is happening. So civil society will ensure that the budget, whatever you put in the budget, in the line items, those budgets, whatever is there, they ensure that those items or those projects are being implemented by monitoring the process, by ensuring that those projects are actually stationed. Because although they are doing their best, but we will not say we've done all of it. We've seen cases where somebody will even tell you that a road was constructed and even commissioned in paper, but when you go there, they don't even clear grass. And then they have to bring those contractors to limelight and say, okay, you have said you've done this project, and when you even go there, they didn't even clear the grass at all. Somebody will tell you that he supplied 50 transformers, 20 transformers to a particular village, and when you go there, you will not see one set from ground. Even the ones that are supplied, they are not connected. Somebody will tell you that he wants to empower hundreds, youths, or let's say citizens, on paper, and those ones that will even do it, the selection process is something to write home about. So civil society will monitor the process of selection. Civil society monitors the process of selection. In some cases, they will not even do, empower the numbers they say they want to empower. Some will not even do it at all, falsifying names. So in promoting transparency and accountability in this process, civil society ensures they integrate themselves, although we know there are forces that fight against that, but we'll still try. So the open government partnership is a process whereby civil society participates, or we say non-state actors, they participate to ensure the implementation of the budget. And when we talk about the budget, we are looking at features, because sometimes they will release funds to the state. And when these states release funds again through the economic planning or the Ministry of Finance, you will discover that it's like a grant. We have projects that the ministry is supposed to implement for that year when funds are released. But it's just like you will not see anything on ground. If you're talking, okay, every year funds are released to the Ministry of Works, funds are released to the Ministry of Environment, to the Ministry of Health, and these funds that are released, they are broken down into two. For the common man to understand, I would say funds are released for salaries. Funds are also released for projects. If those ministries are implementing projects yearly based on the funds that are given to them, why are we not seeing any changes? Why are we not seeing any changes on ground? And these projects, we are looking at both programs and infrastructures. Except we hear that the state government is implementing ABCD, is doing road construction in this, that's all you hear. What about the Ministry of Health? What about the Ministry of Environment and other ministries? But funds are given to them. The funds that are given to them, is it just for salaries? There are cases where we go to the community to see if projects a particular ministry says exist actually exists. In fact, without informing before you even get to the community, the contractor had called you. Only God knows how he got your number. He has called you and asked you, you are coming to this community and I hope no issues. And even when you report the case, you'll be very surprised that the person you are reporting to, the kind of answer is given to you. So when you fight corruption, of course, corruption will fight back. And on this note, we will do everything we can to see that we report to the appropriate authorities to take action, irrespective of your threats.
Why do you think the government is not collaborating very well with some CSOs, in carrying out these roles they play?
Yes, because we even have, we usually call them, I would say we have two types of civil society here. We have political civil society who accept anything they want to accept based on stomach infrastructure. While there are civil society that actually play the role of civil society in the state. Even some government officials today, some corrupt government officials today, go and register their own civil society. After registering their own civil society, they want to regulate the activities of civil society. Civil society organizations are apolitical. They are not to be influenced by government officials, corrupt government officials. You will hear today that they need 2-3 civil society to carry out a particular role or responsibility somewhere. And instead of you to bring civil societies to actually do that job, you register your own civil society as a government official and project it as civil society. And when you see their actions, you will begin to wonder. But to the general public, they will say civil society has failed. Some states today now have senior special assistants to the governor on civil society and civic engagement. And instead of that man to play a mediation role, a role of taking out information from civil society to the government and then government back to civil society to promote transparency, accountability, he sees himself as the lord and master of civil society. He wants to regulate your activities. In fact, he will even tell you that for any, he will write to the ministries and say that for any ministry to work with you to promote good governance and accountability, you must pass through his table. He must stamp, and the ministries will not work with you. The ministries will not even work with you. What are you doing? The government should create an enabling environment for civil society to operate and not to be antagonistic. And civil society most times are constructive in their language. So some of the civil society you see that are referred to as civil society, I call them political civil society because they are created by corrupt government officials. And the role they are supposed to play, they will not play it. Instead, they will collaborate with the owner of that group or that official. And then the common man will hear that civil society is being represented. It's not actual representation. It's to promote whatever it is in terms of their agenda. They will tell you that for you to work with a particular ministry, you must pass through my table, you must be stamped. They will even tell you what to say. For those people that will not create their own, some will register it, their own, and use it to represent civil society. And then you say civil society is talking. You will not be recognized. You will not be invited into to programs. Even when you are invited, they silence you.
Are there not, I'm just wondering, are there not policies put in place to ensure that civil societies carry out their roles, without, being bent to any government? Because, like you rightly said, if a particular person in power, brings his people or his person to in the office of the civil society, he would expect the person to play by the book, to play by his to dance to his tune. So are there not policies that should be put in place or that are already in place to make sure to checkmate the actions and make sure that civil societies are doing what they are supposed to do, irrespective of how they got to the office?
Yeah, there is this. Is what you are saying is just like a father. The government is like the father. You see, government provides these policies. Government is also the one that regulates the policy. Just like a man having the yam and also having the knife, he determines when, where, and how to. Now, I also see civil society has a mediation between government and the community. What civil society do is that they look at the existing government policies and see the areas, the gaps, the challenges, the implementation of those laws. They promote the laws to the community, to the citizens, to the people, to say, this kind of law exists too. You people should do this, you people do that. These are the penalties, these are that in the laws. They also look at the gaps and advocate, meet people in authority to say, these laws, these are areas that you need to look into because these are the challenges if these laws are implemented. And then also look at the areas where they can, participate in terms of promoting transparency and accountability. Now, the question you ask is that, are there no existing laws in place to checkmate the actions? It is, the actions are not, the laws that are existing are not laws that are given to civil society to checkmate. The laws exist as a law, whether it's a bylaw from the local government or the state or the law from the federal university, the federal ministry, in other words, from Nigeria. The laws exist. What we do is not but to promote those laws. So if government is trying to do something and civil society looks at it and say, going by this, I'll go by the provision of this law, this should not be done or this should be done, then it is taken into action if it's collectively agreed on. But what we are saying here is that there is no law that says civil society should hold this government and they are empowered separately to do that. The laws is there. Civil society is to promote the existing laws. And the laws fight against corruption. In Nigeria, we have a lot of laws, legislations, and policies that actually fights against corruption. But the implementation of the law is the process. So if a ministry is trying to do something, and then we know that it's against the law, we say no, we draw its attention back to the law. So the law is for everybody. It's not specially meant for civil society organizations. It's for everybody. It's to see that the laws are being promoted. But what happens is that the people that are supposed to come and promote these laws, which are the civil society group, to ensure that these laws are implemented as stated or as, they will not be invited. The corrupt officers will invite his cohorts, his own civil society groups, that will speak in favor of whatever he wants to say. When we were looking at the when the local government then was trying to advocate for local government autonomy, you will meet the local government chairman. They will tell you that we want our autonomy because these are the implications. But physically, when you meet them in a meeting, they will tell you before the governor that no, we want to stay and remain where we are. But they will now come back to you behind and say, oh, please, oh, it is because the governor is there. You know, he's the one that wrote paper and brought us in. We cannot tell him that we want our own autonomy, no, and things like that. So you can see, so you cannot cry more than the bereaved. There are no special law for civil society organizations. There is a general law that promotes good governance, transparency, and accountability. What civil society do is that they go back, study it, look at it, and draw back your attention if you are not doing the right thing. If you are not following what the laws have said you should do, they will look at it and draw your attention. And you are supposed to comply. Then if you are not complying, they should advocate to the authorities that will bring you back to what you are supposed to do, that will enforce the law, that will say, okay, you are supposed to do this and you are not doing it, and why are you not doing it? Those are the things that civil society do. So there is no special law that empowers civil society to do anything special, but to promote what is already existing.
Okay. So in terms of sectors like healthcare and education, you know, where the government sometimes falls short, how do you think the civil society, you know, should help to bridge the gap in service delivery, especially in rural areas?
Well, thank you very much. There are areas that probably do not have hospitals. There are areas that even have hospitals. They don't have health commodities, drugs, and other consumables. There are areas too that they don't have even staffs. There are areas that they even have staffs, but the attitude of staffs alone will not make people to patronize that health facility. There are areas too that requires government to say, we require government attention to say, okay, government, please increase salaries on this, in this, that, and all of that. So what civil society do in terms of these is that they go to the appropriate authorities and draw government's attention. For instance, the civil society will advocate first to the Ministry of Health and say, these are the gaps, these are the things we realize that is happening in this area. And the commissioner at the state level or the minister will tell you, well, we cannot cry, push our cause for us. Because if we cry and we say we want this, we want that, it will look as if we are being biased. So push our cause for us. And then you go to the Ministry of, at the state level, you go to the Ministry of Economic Planning, which is like the hub of all the ministries. And then you go also probably to the secretary to the state government and other key offices and let them know that these are the areas. And if these challenges are not, looked upon or resolved, this will be the consequences. The role of government is to ensure the well-being of the people, to provide basic amenities, to provide security and ensure that properties are not damaged. On this note, we would like the government to look into these areas. Like most times in the state, at the state level, we go by the budget statement of the governor. We look at the budget statement. Sometimes the budget statement emphasizes on infrastructures. undermining health and education, undermining agriculture. And we are saying we should look at Nigeria beyond oil. The agricultural system is completely jettisoned. So we draw government's attention back to say agriculture, going by your commitment in the Maputo's declaration or Malabo's declaration, you say at least 10% of whatever comes to the state goes into agriculture. But what you are doing by the budget of the state, you are giving 0.0001% to agriculture. And yet you want food security. You want the people to eat. You cannot jettison agriculture. And then we hear a lot of challenges. They will even tell you, okay, the 0.01 we gave to them, we know we made this commitment at the Maputo's or Malabo's declaration. We made this commitment, but the 0.00001% we even give to them, what is the ministry using it for? And if you take a critical look too, the ministry cannot even give anything reasonable to say the 0.0001% we are even being given, we are using it for this and for that. You will not see anything on ground. In areas of health, you go to the coastal communities that are even producing this oil, other than the intervention of the oil company, the IOCs operating there. There are no government hospitals. Yet there are oil producing and impacted communities. There are no government hospitals. There are no schools. If at all you will see, maybe it's owned by an individual and or maybe, constructed by
now that you mention schools, yes, now that you mention schools, are the civil society organizations of Nigeria, are they collaborating with young Nigerians too, in making sure that there is some certain or some sense of inclusivity in governance and in things like things that affect the general public? Are there some certain level